why do you think the first ever bird existed? Why do you think the first ever bird was on the earth?
So that way people could see how beautiful they are and stuff.
So that people could see how beautiful they were? Okay, all right. You're being a big help here, okay? You know what a river is?
Yeah.
Well, that's a picture of a river, and here's the question. Why do you think the first ever river existed? Why do you think the first ever river came to be on the earth?
So if somebody doesn't have water, then they can just go to the river and get water.
Okay, so if somebody didn't have water, they could go to the river and get water. All right. You're being such a great helper here. And you know what a monkey is? Well, there's just an example. That's just a picture of a monkey. But here's the question. Why do you think the first ever monkey existed? Why do you think the first ever monkey came to be on the earth? Why it happened?
So that way there would be more animals.
So that way there'd be more animals? Okay. So, remember I asked you why the first ever bird existed? Why it occurred? Well, here's two other people's best guess. You tell me which one makes more sense. One person said, well, the first ever bird existed to eat worms and insects, so there wouldn't be too many of them. And the other person said the first ever bird existed because an animal that lived on the ground began to develop wings and fly. Which answer makes more sense to you? Do you want me to say them again?
Yeah.
Okay. So one person said the first ever bird existed to eat worms and insects, so there wouldn't be too many of them. And the other person said the first ever bird existed because an animal that lived on the ground began to develop wings and fly. Which answer makes more sense to you?
The first one.
The first one, what's that one?
That so that way there wouldn't be too many insects.
There wouldn't be too many insects. Okay. All right. Now remember I asked you why the first ever river existed? Okay. Why it occurred? Here's two other people's best guess. You tell me which one makes more sense. One answer was that the first ever river existed to provide fish and crocodiles with somewhere to live. And the other person thought the first ever river existed because big blocks of ice melted and made lots of water. Which answer makes more sense to you?
The first one.
Which one's that?
So that way the underwater creatures could live somewhere.
Okay, all right. Remember I asked you about the first ever monkey and why it existed? Well, one person, tell me which answer makes more sense. One person said the first ever monkey existed because some animals developed into people and some developed more like this. And the other person thought the first ever monkey existed to give trees a swinging animal and tigers something to eat. Which answer makes more sense to you?
Can you read them again?
I absolutely can. So one person thought the first ever monkey existed because some animals developed into people and some animals developed to look like this. Okay? And the other person thought the first ever monkey existed to give trees a swinging animal, an animal that would swing from them, and also to give tigers something to eat. Which answer makes more sense to you?
The second one.
The second one, which one's that?
So that way monkeys could swing on them.
Okay, all right.